with a hose. Going, woo! Red sweep, music number, everyone. This is Nohea's least favorite music number in the movie, by the way, saying that the music's repetitive, the choreography is not that great, and the yellow diaper suit that Zoo is wearing is just gross. And I'll just add, I don't care for all the imagery of the spraying hoses that are jiggling around or the weird bubblegum costumes. This number is supposed to convey music's growing feelings towards Zoo, apparently. Her overall happiness, as well as Zoo letting her guard down as she embraces a sense of calm. We make our way to Ibo's gym. He trains kids to box, by the way. Nothing unwholesome there. It's just a little plot point to mention before we can continue our walk. Ibo tries to explain how autism works to the world, and he does not do a good job of it. We get several flashes of nice things in Music's mind before she starts to have a full-on freak-out. Maybe the boxing arena was too much? I don't know. This time, Zoo has to climb on top of Music. Again, not a thing anyone should ever be doing, ever. But in our movie, it calms her down. And back at the apartments, Ibo is comparing Zoo and Music, saying they're emotionally the same age. That Zoo is basically a child. Yeah, she is. We have a random blackout so that we can set the mood for Ibo as he tells Zoo that my ex-wife, left me for my brother. Zoo tells a little sob story here, and then they hold hands, which brings the power back to the apartment, lighting the scene and the mood as Zoo and Ibo embrace. Honestly, this scene is a little touching, especially after having watched it a few times. The lighting effect is a little cheesy, but it's also kind of endearing. And it at least establishes some of the relationship between the two of them that I really just couldn't see on my first couple of watches of this film. This is when we switch over to another musical number called Insecure, and this one is heavily purple dominant, and it features both Sue and Music, and it starts off with her at a table with some plates and tableware that are really just long purple hands, definitely designed by Dallas Clayton. There are no doubts there. And it features a brief little musical number that shows Zoo dancing with Ibo, and an art piece in which Zoo attempts to break down her own emotional walls as she deals with her struggles between having a normal sit-down family life with Ibo and Music versus her continual habit of running from her problems. It also features a quick cutaway of Zoo pawning what we can only guess is one of her grandma's rings, because Zoo is just that terrible. Also, watching these scenes, we just get another plot line that I'd missed on every single watch up to this point. In this music video montage collage, Felix is spacing out at his boxing lessons, and Ibo suggests that maybe he's an artist, and we can see Felix looking into a glass front dance studio, then later watching a video on his laptop, a dancer who looks very much like himself. I really had missed it up to this point, but Felix does not want to box. Those are his father's aspirations. Felix wants to be a dancer. Back in the apartment, we get to see more of Ibo's descent into emotional self-harm as he tells us about his plans to attend his brother's wedding. To his ex-wife. Yeah, he's going to go to his brother's wedding, where he is going to marry his ex-wife, because Mr. Nice Guy is just going to go there and smile and wave, and we're all going to have to go there with him in just a little bit. So buckle up, buckaroos, because Zoo at least handles this with a little class as she invites herself and Music as Ibo's guest to the wedding, which I guess is kind of nice of her. We also get a little, baby it's cold outside kind of style flirting, which is, it's cute, and it also leads into a musical number in which we do see Ibo wearing these absurdly oversized pants while he's dance running on a treadmill interspaced with shots of him emerging and descending from this oversized, hollowed-out Bible like some kind of Dracula-style vampire. And don't worry, I think I've got you covered for interpretation of this nonsense, so Ibo, he tells Maddie to go to bed. Then he goes to the bathroom, as Zoo happily prances off to her bedroom, while Music identifies the emotional conflict on her speak and say, which is, I am happy and I am sad, as Ibo is in the bathroom getting ready. But then after our little musical segment, he finds Zoo asleep, and I'm pretty sure this is him having difficulties with his feelings for Zoo, his ex-wife, and his overall fears about him having sex with regards to his HIV. I think that this whole scene could be interpreted as a case of musical blue balls played out through dance, light, and color. When Zoo does wake up, she's off to sell more drugs to that new contact that she made earlier, but she can't pawn Music off on George, so she's forced to take her with us, leading to one of the most self-indulgent cameos in movie history. And I'm not joking on that one. Zoo goes to meet her new client, while Music is making everyone very uncomfortable with her acting. Zoo notices a Sia wig on the adjacent table, prompting her to ask if Sia is there, prompting Sia, who is just off focus in the background, to begin summoning her like some kind of wizard, just shouting out, "Drug dealer? Drug dealer? Is that you, drug dealer?" Sia, you see, she wants to buy all the drugs. But not for herself. No. No. She wants to buy all the drugs so that she can illegally smuggle them to Haiti in her private jet, in a crazy attempt to try and help solve the humanitarian crisis resulting from the 2021 Haitian earthquake that destroyed most of Lake Hai, as well as the surrounding areas. Because she assumes what those people need most of all are illicit prescription pain medications as opposed to legitimate relief. If you want to send them prescription meds, send them antibiotics. Honestly, send them food, or water purification devices, or tarps, or money. Just send money. They need money. I know you're trying to make it look like you give a shit, but it really just comes off so self-aggrandizing. It doesn't really go into the issue of what these people need, and it doesn't really fit with the rest of the story either. It just comes out of nowhere with this weird tonal shift. It serves minimally as a segue for a plot narrative that sees Zhu needing more drugs and fast. It also leads into another musical number, of course, and there are just so many musical numbers in music. It's honestly a little exhausting. As music is looking through a set of dresses, she ends up finding herself in a Narnia-style wonderland as she dances through various dressing rooms trying on different outfits. And I hope we can just leave that one there. It's a fun number with a lot of outfits, but it generally just seems happy with music not stressed out at all and just enjoying all of the costumes in her imagination. Sue's back to see her drug dealer to buy around 400 pills, apparently, and I don't know the specific value of each of these different drugs, but I'm not going to play coy and pretend I don't know they're expensive. And she's getting a lot of them. Much more than I would personally trust Sue with, and that's just me at this point. But honestly, Rudy, he should know better too. He's known her for longer than I have, and it's implied that she screwed him over a time or two more than we've already seen. Rudy, the weird, supposedly gay drug dealer, has also started dealing black market HIV medication. This is where we have the very brief little scene that is supposed to establish Zhu selling these drugs to Ebo, but it's once again one of those blink and you'll miss it kind of plot points. I actually read about this one. I had no idea it actually happened in the movie. Then I had to go search for it in the film. I was almost convinced it wasn't in the movie at all until we got here. Again, this movie really has a lot of important plot points that really aren't presented clearly, and it just leaves you with a really incomplete picture of the story on a first or second watch. Zhu delivers the AIDS meds to Ebo, and this is on her way to deliver drugs to Sia, when George hollers at her from the window to take music because he is fed up with having her all day long. He's done with it, he's tired, he's over it. Thus, we get Zhu with music walking in the park, en route to deliver drugs to Sia. When Zhu stops to give music a snow cone, setting her bag down with all of the drugs inside so that she can retrieve some money. Meanwhile, music is left unattended, and she gets stung by a bee, and she starts to freak out. The snow cone man asks if she's allergic, and Zhu says she doesn't know. And for sake, I know she's allergic. I remember Ebo saying that she's allergic to bees. Anyway, Zhu rushes music to the hospital in a very dramatic scene, just completely forgetting her purse in the process. With the drugs. The thousands and thousands of dollars worth of drugs. This is where we get to see Felix at his big boxing match as well, where he was supposed to be boxing a kid, just way too small, honestly, to be fighting him in the first place. But old Felix is a softie, and he just leans in and gives him a big old hug. And Ebo says, this is a good boy. Meanwhile, Felix's dad just becomes enraged at the fact that he's not boxing in his boxing match. His dad just screaming, knock him out, knock him out. Back in the hospital, Zhu realizes that she's lost her purse and starts high-key freaking out, backtracking her steps, throwing around trash cans, and garnering the attention of some local police before going home to search her Gma's house for some sort of depressant before landing on some old liquor bottles she's discovered and starts getting sloshed. And then she goes and tries to drunk bang Ebo, which is so much sadder than I feel I could possibly convey here. The scene just goes on and on. I'm gonna go get a glass of water. So y'all ready for this? Zhu, unable to get Ebo to drunk bang her, even though she's loudly declared she's not worried about getting AIDS, starts to get very angry and defensive, leading into a full-on shouting match between the two of them, which, no surprise, gets the attention of a concerned neighbor. The neighbor is just trying to figure out what's happening, and Zhu, drunk and upset, shoves him, provoking him to call the police and Zhu to flee, leaving Music all alone by herself in the apartment, while Zhu goes off to a bar to continue her bender, drinking so hard that she bangs her head, leading us into another musical number. The song, by the way, is called Easy, and it shows Zhu wearing a giant heart on her back while being chased by the paper ghosts of her past. Over at the Chang household, Felix's dad is getting very angry at his son's refusal to box. We can briefly see Felix applying for a service dog on his computer before he goes downstairs to see what all the commotion is about. Felix's dad is very upset, but we can't tell what he's yelling because it's all in Chinese. I'm assuming many curses. There's no subtitles for it, which is disappointing. We do know that he's mad because his son didn't participate in the match, and now he's savagely beating his wife over it, and Felix tries to stop him from hitting his mother, but he gets throat chopped in the process, causing him to fall backwards, cracking his head open over an end table, killing him on the spot. We get another musical number this time, titled Music, in the movie Music, in that sort of way that only Bad Company can really get away with. Honestly, it's hard enough to look up this movie as it is. The number is well done, it's both well choreographed and costumed, and probably the least weird of any of the musical numbers. It's honestly really sweet. It makes me tear up a little bit. It's a short little number used as a vessel to send Felix off to heaven, and it's really sad. Okay, you can see Millie, Music's grandma, sitting at the table as Felix is dropped off by a rickshaw before he and Music begin dancing together. It's a really well done routine. Honestly, this piece made me cry a little watching it this time, so I turned off the sound to write it. But the dance is actually so well choreographed, you can still hear the music. And then all of a sudden Felix disappears, and Music is left all alone, wondering where he went. And she just looks shook. It's so sad. And then you see Felix and Millie riding off on the rickshaw, off into the light. Back into the real world, we see Felix gently helping an injured Sue to bed before he disappears forever. Music emerges from her room to find her sister on the couch, hurt. Where she asks, no big surprise, make you eggs. Ibo comes in to make breakfast, to find Zhu all beaten up after her bender, and he gets pretty concerned over his own personal mental health in regards to dating this girl. Zhu, just desperate as all hell now, is reduced to asking her longtime enemy and rival, George, for help. And the good old guy, he cleans her up, and I guess he gets her started on AA again. It's a short little montage. It, of course, comes with musical accompaniment and more symbolic costume love dancing between Ibo and Sue, and apparently by the end of it, Sue has decided once again to ditch her sister at some sort of mental health facility upstate. I know, it seems like quite the reversal. While Sue and Music are off on their way, we see Ibo leaving for his brother's wedding. We go back to Sue and Music as they made their way to the facility, and Sue is getting her all set up, putting out her possessions and whatnot, when Music quietly says, "Don't go. Sit down now." And it's super sad. And thankfully, Zhu decides not to leave her there, right? Because who knows Zhu at this point? They burst through the door, suitcases in hand, and they grab themselves a taxi. And what do you think they do? Yeah, they crash Ibo's brother's wedding. They burst right the hell in there. Zhu confesses her love for Ibo. They kiss. Everyone cheers at Ibo's brother's wedding for some reason. And then they go up on stage and they just start playing piano, forcing themselves upon the crowd. And Music herself starts gently singing out her title song, Music. So yes, this is Music, singing Music in the musical Music, which actually beats Bad Company by one level. So good on them for that. We end with them all together, happy at breakfast, when someone knocks on the door to deliver the service dog that Felix had applied for Music on his computer right before he died. We get one more music number, full on with costumes and everything, and it's a good one, but it doesn't require too much interpretation. It's mostly just eggs and bacon and a gay pride room. It's a nice one to end the movie on. It's not nearly long enough of a high note to really let anyone who's watching these scene by scenes recover, but it is nice. And this brings all of the cast together at last for one joyous dance. I hope you all survived that one. I know it was a rough one. But let's tone it down a little bit with some fun facts about this flick, shall we?